Greetings, kinsmen. It is early 2022, and I am bringing you an approximately 8-year updated review of the Milwaukee 8-inch metal cutting circular saw. You can see this is back in my mom's garage at the family farm in Ohio, back when we still lived there. This brings back the memories. This is one of the first shill vids that I think I ever put together. And so I'll tell you guys my experience with these saws. They have been awesome. Now, Milwaukee really tried to get it right with this saw. I had the privilege of working directly with one of the engineers who designed it in order to make this shill vid. He gave me like the talking points for it and told me how to use it. And they put in a lot of effort to getting it right on this thing. This is a saw that will cut, if memory serves, approximately 2 inches or a little more than that capacity of solid steel plate, if that's what you use it for. You can cut structural shapes with it, like, rectangular tubing or angle iron or what have you. And obviously, flat sheet metal is really what it's made for. The main thing I use this saw for is cutting sheet metal, like 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch plate for metal fabrication projects. Now, here's the thing. When I made this review, there were all kinds of people that are like, this saw is a scam because I can cut metal with my regular woodworking circular saw. Okay, so here's the thing. No, not like you can with this one. Compared to a regular wood circular saw, like with a 7 1/4 inch blade or whatever, this motor is perhaps 2 to 3 times the size, depending on exactly which 7 1/4 inch saw you have. So the motor is much larger. The RPMs are something like 1/3 as much. So it's an insane amount of torque that'll plow through this. Now, obviously, if you have a regular circular saw, you can cut some metal with it. Like, for example, aluminum up to maybe 1/8 of an inch or so with the correct blade. It's loud, but you can do it. The other thing people have done is cut like that sheet metal roofing stuff for metal buildings and such, but the problem is that's only like 20 plus gauge material. It's really thin. And you can see this is some 10 gauge right here, and it just goes through it like practically nothing. So it's a really good idea, and like I said, Milwaukee, those guys really tried to get it right. The saw is expensive, but they hold up very well. Now, I have had 3 issues with these saw. Oh, and here's the other thing. Milwaukee sent me this saw, obviously, if that wasn't clear already, back in 2013, but they don't know I'm making this video. I'm not making this for them. I'm making it for you guys, the viewers, and they have no idea I'm even producing this thing. So I can tell you now that I'm retired from my career as an internet shill. I did have 3 issues with this saw, but all of them were my fault because I was kind of dumb and I didn't really know. Okay, so here's what I learned. Number 1, there is that essentially guard, basically, that catches the chips. It's that thing that's the silver part with the red Milwaukee on it. You can remove that from the saw and dump out all the metal chips. Okay, now it's obvious in hindsight, but all those chips are glowing when they go in there, and that guard, I think, is made out of magnesium. So that thing gets hot, really hot. Like the first time I used this saw, I went to dump it out, and I didn't think of that, so I burned the absolute crap out of myself with it. The second thing is also obvious, and I don't even want to tell you guys this. For some reason, I thought it would be a fun thing to do to try to put like 7-inch grinder, metal cutting abrasive discs on this. I have no idea what I was thinking. That sounds really stupid even to just say, but for whatever reason, I did put those on there, and they do fit, and it did cut, but the problem is it's slathered abrasive dust like what's on a chop saw all over the inside of the saw. And I brought that up with one of the Milwaukee engineers that I was making the shill vid with, and he's like, dude, what are you even thinking? I mean, he was nice about it, don't get me wrong, but he's like, bro, we gave you all these carbide plates. What are you even doing? And I'm like, I don't even know. So yeah, I did cut. Yeah, don't do that. They made this thing to work very well with the carbide blade. Just use the carbide. I don't know. So and then the other thing I did is so the way the guards are set up on this, you can't do the hillbilly thing like what I'm actually doing in a lot of these video clips, and just bottom the depth control or whatever it's technically called out, so that blade is sticking at maximum depth all the time. You can't really do that, because if you do that and then you try to cut something thin, the guard will actually catch on the edge of the material and hang up. So if you're cutting 1/2-inch steel plate with this, which you can, it does it really well actually, you have to make sure that the guard is not set to like a 2.5-inch depth, because that will cause it to hang up and cause issues. So I didn't know that at the time. I was trying to do the hillbilly thing. You just bottom that out like Uncle Cletus with his 8 fingers does, you know, with his old circular saw. And and that's not safe either, by the way, so you shouldn't do it for that reason alone. But like I said, I had like 8 years less knowledge when I filmed this. So that's what I did, and the guard would catch on material, and I talked to the Milwaukee guys. They're like, well, we'll just send it back. You know, we'll send you another one. We'll see if there's anything wrong with this. And then the second one does the exact same thing. That's when I realized it was actually my fault because I wasn't using it correctly. Okay, so here's the TLDR on this. These saws are awesome. They work very well, but do not touch that chip catching thing without gloves on, or you will burn the crap out of yourself. You also need to actually use it, you know, with the cutting device it was intended to be used with, i.e. the correct blade. And you have to actually set that guard close to how it's intended to be used. Okay, but with all that out of the way, mine I've had since like 2013, 2014, and it has been flawless. It is 100% reliable. You guys know, you've seen it on so many projects, building trailers, building barbecues, building anything with sheet metal that gets welded together. You know, it's cleaner than plasma cutting sheet metal, because obviously there's no dross. There's nothing that needs to be chipped, cleaned, or ground after you cut it. So that's the advantage over a thermal cutting process. You know, it's certainly a lot cleaner and a lot straighter. Straighter cuts are easier to make than using cutoff wheels on an angle grinder. You know, it's a really good idea. Like I said, Milwaukee genuinely tried. I've done enough shill vids. I've reviewed enough cheap tools to know that they just kind of tried to throw us together. That's not what happened here. The Milwaukee guys spent a lot of time and energy getting this right. And if you have half a brain when you use it and you don't do the 3 things I messed up, it'll be flawless. And you know, at least mine was. I've put a lot of hours on this thing, more blades than I can count. And man, it is real nice. When you have something sheet metal you want to weld together, you just, you know, rip it up just like it's a sheet of plywood with this thing, and it goes together real easily. So I like this saw. You know, like I said, I still have mine. I have no plans to get rid of it. And it served me really well. If the types of things we've talked about seem like it would serve your operation, whatever you do, then yeah, I highly recommend these things. Like I said, it's a well-engineered, well-put-together product. These things are not cheap, I'll tell you that. Yeah, they're not cheap at all, but man, they hold together real well, and it's just something that is designed to cut extremely thick steel with, you know, like with a circular saw blade. That's just not the kind of thing that can be put together for a small amount of money, you know, not if you want it to last. And like I said, mine's going on 8+ years at this point. It's been flawless. Really like these things. So anyway, just kind of rambling here, but that is my approximately 8-year review. Now enjoy this original shill vid from 2013-ish. Thank you for watching over all these years, and best wishes, everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube and Chucky 2009, and today we're going to be having a look at the Milwaukee Electric 6370-21 8-inch metal cutting saw. And I understand this is going to be pretty awesome because, to be honest, I've never used one of these before, but pretty much every review of them I can find online, everyone who has one of these seems to like it, and it looks like a really cool concept, and I'm really looking forward to digging in and seeing what this is all about. So this was sent out by our friends over at Milwaukee Electric, and I guess we're pretty much just going to do an unboxing, try it out, and see what happens. Okay, let's open this. Take our first look inside. Now that's a thing of beauty, YouTube. Wow. Alright. Styling wise, it's reminiscent of those nice little porta-bands that Milwaukee has. Oh, this weighs. Alright, that case is surprisingly heavy. That is just gorgeous, YouTube. Alright. Let's see here.
we've got this Allen wrench thing. I'll set that aside. And although I don't normally do this, I am going to flip through the manual because like I said, to be honest, I've never actually used one of these saws. Alright. Just close this back up and get it out of our way. That's a really nice case. So I took a moment and I thumbed through this nice little manual, and this is just as impressive as the case. It's well put together, it's easy to read, it's easy to follow, and it honestly looks to be legitimately useful. But enough about that, let's have a look at the saw. It is gorgeous. It appears to be constructed of what looks to be aluminum, might possibly be magnesium, body. We have this durable hard plastic. It's hard plastic, but it doesn't feel cheap. It's well put together. And then further down here we have these soft, grippy sections of plastic. And then if we flop this thing over, it'll rest like that. We have this nice heavy-duty handle. We got this doohickey, which is for the blade guard thing. And we got your whatchamacallit here. And the cool thing about this saw is that it will, in a way, minimize the amount of cleanup required after cutting this stuff. I'm just going to flip this. And then this whole side just comes right off. And then, down in there, that's where most of the chips go. Could definitely make life easier. You have that clear window so you can see when it's about time to clean that out. I'll set that face up, don't want to scratch it. Now, the one thing I did notice is that this is an 8-inch saw. I'm assuming it'll take 7 1/4-inch blades, but I don't know for sure. Hope it does, because I haven't really seen any 8-inch ones, but then again, I'm sure they're out there. Haven't really looked all that hard. Okay, well, yeah, that's the inside of the saw. The fit and finish is Milwaukee's usual very, very high level, and it really does look gorgeous, YouTube. Definitely doesn't look or feel cheap. I want to use it, but I'm kind of scared to. I don't want to scratch it. Alright, well, if nothing else, it does have a very long cord in length. I'll just go ahead and put the side cover on, and I guess, it's obviously here, it's ready to use. The blade's already in it. These are all the pieces. I guess pretty much all we can do now is plug it in and try it out. I'll get the hang of it. Oh, that is so nice. I like it. Zero complaints about the fit and finish. Now, I have used circular saws in the past, obviously not metal cutting ones, but nevertheless, just looking at this, we have our dead center thing so you can follow your line. Then there's the opening here so you can make sure you're directly running over the line. And then you have this line here for 1 inch off or 2 inches off or 3 inches off this direction. Now the first time I use this thing, I'm going to do it on some sheet metal. I believe this piece of twisted and slightly mangled 14 gauge is about as thin as I have here in the shop. So I'm going to start off on this, which means I got to figure out how to raise this blade up a little bit. Maybe it is up. Nope. Okay. You got a lot of adjustability there, YouTube. Oh, I see how that works. Alright. We'll just have it stick down about much. Alright, YouTube, I'm pretty much just gonna go for it. Okay, excellent. Oh wait, I'm told this is supposed to be a cool cut. It's definitely cool. No doubt about that. I mean, it's totally cool. Granted, it's 14 gauge, so it's probably not going to get all that hot. Still, totally 100% cool. That's a really nice cut right there, YouTube. Nice and smooth. There's no burr, there's no slag to chip or scrape or whatever. And there's also no dust. I mean, none. Absolutely none whatsoever. You can see this little sparkles on the floor. That's just the chips that it throws off. Here's some more. That's the only byproduct right there, YouTube. That's it. All right, well, next up, let's do some 1/8 inch. I guess we'll just keep increasing in thickness until I run out of metal or kill the blade. I bet I'll run out of metal first, though. All right, now, what did I think of that, YouTube, you ask? Well, it was pretty simple. I mean, I pulled the trigger, and I just went for it. It made a little bit of extra noise there a couple times, so I just slowed down, and then it was fine. Not exactly rocket surgery, and doesn't seem to have much of a learning curve. But I've made about 3 or 4 cuts with it so far, so I'm totally in a position to talk about this. All right, let's cut some more. There's the finished product, everybody. I mean, there's no burr, there's no slag. Is this sharp? It's a sharp 90 degree, but it's not like there's splinters coming off it or nothing. It's definitely ready to be welded. There's no cleanup needed. Still cool. Yep, not complaining about this either, YouTube. Now keep in mind, these cuts are totally cool to the touch. There's virtually no cleanup. I mean, there is no cleanup on the material and just a few chips laying around you'll have to sweep up, I guess. But I'm just freehanding this. I'm not using a straight edge or anything. And it's that easy. Literally all I'm doing is following the edge of the material with the 1, the 1.5, or the 2 and just going for it. The saw does the work for you. It's not complicated, it's fast, it's easy. I like it. 1/2 inch time. Half-inch plate, is it cool to the touch? It's a tad bit warm, but it's still a long ways from hot. I like it. Doesn't hurt at all. No burrs, no slag, no heat. Well, a little bit of heat. Not much though. Alright, how square did I cut on this, YouTube? The saw was working a little bit harder, but not all that much. It handled it just fine. I mean, look at that. Wow. Now, Milwaukee technically recommends this saw for up to and including 3/4 inch material. But if it'll cut 1/2 inch plate that easily, let's see how well it does with a full inch. Alright, 1 inch plate, here we go. Now that's pretty impressive. But wait, is it cool? Overall, yes, that's the warmest one we've done so far. But still not all that warm. So YouTube, did the saw feel like it was being worked? Yes. But did it feel like it was being overworked? Definitely not. It was a little bit slower. I didn't feel like I was using the saw much slower than it was intended to go. I didn't feel like it could go a whole lot faster than when I was pushing it. But that was still pretty effortless. And we still cut it. It's still cool. Still a nice clean cut. And here's the old tape measure test. 1-inch plate, just like that. Alright YouTube, now, as we know, flat stock is fun, but three-dimensional shapes are also pretty cool. So, you know, according to Milwaukee's website, this saw will go through material. You know, its maximum cutting depth is 2 9/16 inches. So let's see if we can find some nice 2-inch stock. Alright, we got some 2-inch square tube. Set that there. Now this looks like about 1 inch or 3/4 inch square tube. Do that too. Let's see, what do I have over here? We'll do some angle. That'll be fun. And we'll do some square angle, not, you know, shaped more one way than the other way. Alright, let's have some fun here, YouTube. Alright, let's do it. No problem whatsoever. Not exactly square, but that's not exactly the saw's fault. Now let's do some rectangular tube. No scrap metal is safe, everybody. Look at that. We've gone through pretty much every shape I can come up with. I mean, we got the flat stock, the square stock, round stock, rectangular. Yeah, I think that's about all. Alright, YouTube, so I've gone ahead and unplugged the saw. So I guess we're going to see exactly just how clean this thing is. Well, we got some stuff falling out around the edges, but most of it apparently stayed in this nice little catcher thing. I'll just turn this over. And I believe that's the last of it. Well, it would appear as though most of the chips stayed in that catcher thing. I mean, we obviously have some here and there, but I don't think this is as many as what poured out of there. Now, I will say that this aluminum or magnesium side cover here, well, it does have a very nice finish. It also gets pretty hot. That's why I'm wearing gloves right now. Yeah, it gets pretty warm, but I guess it's still not that bad. It does, however, get a lot warmer than, in my experience, you know, anything you cut with it, at least out of what I've got laying around the shop here. But everything seems to be working just fine. We got this Endurance brand blade, 8-inch. I've never heard of an 8-inch saw before, but I'm sure those blades are out there. I'm going to have to do some research and track down some more of them. But I don't think this is a bad blade. It seems to cut just fine, but then again, what do I know? You know, some people will tell you stock blades on things aren't that great. Who knows? I think this is a pretty good one. But regardless, I guess this about concludes the video. So, I got a small mess to clean up out here, but it was a blast making, totally worth it. I'm really thrilled with this saw. I don't have any real complaints about it. It's easy to use. Like I said, I'd never used one before tonight, but I just took straight to it. It's not exactly rocket surgery. Just work your way up to the material, then get going at about what feels like the right speed, and let the saw do the work, and it's pretty easy. It's smooth, it's relatively quiet compared to other means of cutting. No real cleanup, at least on your workpiece, and I like it. Alright, I'm sure this is going to be in plenty of videos to come. So as always, YouTube, thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more. A big thank you to our friends over at Milwaukee Electric for sending this out. And have a nice night, everybody. Yeehaw.